I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. Joining me today is Jessica Sibley. She is CEO at Time. And we have Edward Felsenthal. He is Editor-in-Chief and Executive Chairman at Time. Thank you both for joining me. Wonderful to have you here as you celebrate 100 years of Time. Now, Jessica, you rang the opening bell. You physically rang the opening bell this morning. What was that like?
What an exciting, historic moment for Time, for this brand, and for our company. And to be here on the anniversary to ring the opening bell was amazing. What a celebration, and thank you so much for having us.
Oh, a pleasure. And I noticed you didn't actually want to let go of the bell. You wanted it to keep ringing.
I went 1 second too long, admittedly, yes.
So, Edward, let's start with you. Tell me, why do audiences turn to Time, and how has Time remained relevant over the past 100 years?
Well, a lot's changed in 100 years, or we wouldn't be here. But what hasn't changed is an unwavering commitment to telling history through the people who shape it. And that's what that border, we've been looking at our first issue from March 3rd, 100 years ago, and it's the then Speaker of the House with a border around him. We still think about our journalism that way. We approach it that way. A physical red border on the magazine, but a kind of metaphorical red border on all of our digital platforms. And when we do our documentaries and our films, it's about the people shaping the world.
All right. So, I mean, this is a major milestone. How are you celebrating, Edward?
This is just the kickoff. We launched, this is the date, the 100 years since the first issue.
Exactly 100 years.
Exactly 100 years today, but it's really a kickoff for a year of celebration of not just our history, but our present and our future. The kickoff this week we marked in the editorial world with a package called A Century of Impact, where we're looking back at famous covers across the 100 years and talking with people who were influenced by that cover. In some cases, we have the Dalai Lama, for example, who was on the cover in 1959, writing in this package, A Century of Impact, about what that meant for him as a recent exile from Tibet in his early 20s, now approaching 88, and what that cover meant in his life. And so we're doing that across, through the year. We launched it this week.
All right. So, Jessica, tell me, from a business standpoint, what are your biggest strategic priorities as you look to the next 100 years?
Yeah, we're really excited about our future. We feel bullish on our business as we force ahead. The priorities are to accelerate our digital transformation. We continue to advance in our events business, which is growing globally. We're so excited that we launched 6 new businesses just in the last several years. Time Studios is our TV and film division, which is $100 million in revenue just over the last 2 years, represents 25% of our overall revenue. We launched Time CO2, which is our climate action platform, where we're going to continue to be the leader in sustainability, and so many others that we're excited about.
All right, and Edward, from an editorial standpoint, what are your strategic priorities for the next 100 years?
I think our number one job is to keep telling the stories of people shaping the world, but we think about it a little differently today. We also want to do our part to improve the world by telling these stories. And I think what's really meaningful for us is when you look at who we're covering, who we're putting on the cover today, who we're featuring in our documentaries, sometimes they're household names and always have been through history, but sometimes they're people you may not have heard of. Farwiza Farhan, an Indonesian environmental activist, for example, who we recently honored in Dubai and had on the cover before that. Just one example of amazing change makers who are leading the way for the world into the next 100 years.
All right. Well, congratulations on this incredible milestone. And I plan to stick around for the next 100 years, so can't wait to see all the covers.
See you then.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk.
Great, thank you.